Well, good afternoon, everyone. Let me just thank you real quick for being with us this afternoon. I know this was short notice, but Commissioner McMurray and I wanted to give you a quick update on the situation with the bridge that got hit early this morning on I-16. Certainly want to thank all of our DOT folks who responded early this morning, continue to be on the scene, as well as the State Patrol and a lot of local law enforcement as well that's helping us. We appreciate their support. Obviously, I've been in touch with Commissioner McMurray and DOT since early this morning. I've also spoken to and left messages with the local governments in Adrian, Georgia, and Soperton, offering our assistance as well and just making sure that they knew that I was aware of the situation that's going to create some dynamic traffic issues in a couple of small towns in rural Georgia that we're committed to helping them deal with while we're dealing with the situation on the bridge. Thankfully, no one was hurt or killed in this incident, which is a miracle when you see what happened. I think obviously this happening in the wee hours of the morning was a big part of that, but we're lucky in that regard. And again, just want to thank all our folks at DOT, local and state law enforcement that are responding. And I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner McMurray to give you a more detailed update on what happened, but also what the plans are here the next few days, and then we'll be glad to answer any questions. Russell.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you for calling this together and for all of you being here today. Again, let me start with safety and how fortunate we are that there were no injuries in this tragic and very unfortunate event that happened on I-16 in Truitland County. This incident is a result of basically a tractor trailer that has a dump bed, and the dump bed was up that struck the bridge. In fact, when it struck the bridge with such force, it shifted the bridge beams off of their supports that what hold the bridge up over I-16, shifted it off its support, and in fact, part of it is overhanging or suspended in midair, which has caused a very unsafe condition for any other vehicles to try to go under, and certainly tractor trailers or commercial vehicles would not even fit under this bridge now. So that was the criticality in shutting down I-16 in both directions. Again, I'd like to say a special thanks to the Georgia State Patrol for immediately notifying us and stopping traffic such that nobody else could have been injured or harmed while this event happened, and also to the local law enforcement who immediately started with off-site detours to try to get traffic in and around this location. And again, as the governor said, a special sympathy and level of concern to our communities that are impacted here in Truitland County, especially the city of Adrian and the city of Soperton, which now have a lot of traffic. In fact, some 21,000 vehicles per day navigating through their local communities. So that, again, a big impact to the local communities. Again, our first priority in everything is safety, and that was the necessity of closing I-16. So let me talk to you just a little bit about the detours that are in place. We did try to lessen the detour impacts by splitting eastbound and westbound detours. The westbound detour, which would be coming from Savannah toward Macon, starts at exit 78, turns on US 221, works its way over to US 80, goes through Adrian, and then turns left onto State Route 15, where you re-enter on exit 71 on I-16. So basically a 7-mile detour along I-16, but that's about a 24-mile detour on these roads, so a significant detour distance. Eastbound, if you're heading from Macon to Savannah, you will exit at exit 71 onto Highway 15 to Soperton, where you turn left onto State Route 46 and then a left on State Route 56 to re-enter I-16 at exit 78. That detour distance is approximately 10 miles, so much shorter detour, but again through downtown Soperton. Now let me talk just a little bit about the timeline to try to reopen I-16. That is our first priority in that we do it safely. It's been determined that the fastest way to reopen I-16 is to demolish the existing bridge beams and this deck portion over I-16. That will be the fastest way to reopen I-16. We already have crews out there underway preparing for this demolition, and mobilization of specialized demolition equipment is en route and will begin demolition this evening. This demolition is difficult and tricky. It sounds like it would be easy to tear down a bridge, but this is a unique bridge design where there is one beam that spans both east and westbound of I-16, and that's why the whole bridge shifted when it was struck by this truck with its bed up. That's why it shifted off of its supports, because it's one beam. That beam has stresses and pressures in it that are concerning, and that has to be strategically located how the bridge will be disassembled, if you will, so that nobody gets hurt in the demolition process. We are strategic in how we plan to reopen I-16, but we cannot reopen I-16 until the entire bridge deck is basically on the ground. Our plan is to open one lane westbound, that would be Savannah to Macon, by Sunday morning. Have one lane open flowing westbound Savannah to Macon, and then by Monday have one lane eastbound open on I-16. We expect that the full reopening of I-16 will occur by mid to late next week, obviously weather permitting and lots of factors of complication of demolition. That is our target. We do not yet have a time to replace the bridge over I-16, which is State Route 86. It is a very minor state route that only has about 200 to 300 vehicles per day on it, and there are adequate detours to go around it itself. So our main focus is to get I-16 and the commerce that flows up in I-16 back flowing as soon as possible. We ask that you all use our social media channels, our Facebook and Twitter accounts. Use your traffic apps and plan ahead if you have to travel to Savannah, or if you're in Savannah and you need to travel back towards central Georgia to Macon. Please use those traffic apps, plan your trip ahead, and try to avoid these detours that we have in place, because Soperton and Adrian certainly will have a lot of traffic in it. If you look at your maps on your phone now, you'll see those areas are very red. So we hope that this planning ahead will lessen the impact on these local communities, while we strive hard to have traffic again westbound one lane opened before Sunday, and one lane open Monday eastbound, which will certainly relieve the local communities. Again, safety first. Please be mindful of law enforcement that are still working the detours, the construction workers that will be on site working to disassemble this bridge and get the lanes open as fast as possible. So please be diligent and safe as you maybe travel this area, and again, plan ahead. I'd like to thank Governor Kemp again for pulling this together today, and we'll be glad to take any questions or comments you may have.
Yes, sir. This may also be a question for the Georgia State Patrol, but are there any fines or tickets or charges or penalties that might be involved here as a result of this accident?
Yeah, so we will certainly be cooperating and find out what goes forward as it relates to any penalties or fines to this. We certainly will be looking for the insurability to the state for this as well, which is not uncommon where we do have other vehicles to strike bridges. So we do usually look for the insurability from that point of view.
And if I may follow up on what you explained earlier, can you kind of walk us through again your understanding of how this happened in the first place?
Yeah, so again, how this happened is apparently that the tractor trailer has a dump bed, which is similar to a dump truck, but only in the size of a tractor trailer, and it appears that it was raised, and which then struck the overpass bridge, the bridge passing over, and it struck it on the beams which hold up the bridge deck. The vertical clearance of our bridge is 17 feet. The vertical top of a tractor trailer is usually 13.6, and the minimum standard for design of a bridge is 16 feet. So we're about a foot above the minimum design, but well above the normal height of a tractor trailer.
And Governor, if I may ask you, have you been in touch with the ports? How is this impacting transportation in and out of the ports of Savannah and elsewhere?
I have not spoken to them, but Russell updated me this morning, and he has spoken to Griff down at Georgia Ports, obviously letting them know this is going to be really a logistics challenge for a lot of container traffic that's coming out of the port when you have detours that the commissioner just talked about. But we're going to help work with them to manage. That's why law enforcement's going to continue to be on the scene. But also want to just thank DOT and State Patrol for their swift response. It's pretty amazing that this happened at 3 o'clock this morning, and if everything goes right, we'll start tearing the bridge apart tonight, which is incredible. And obviously this is a team that unfortunately is very experienced in having to deal with things like this, if we all remember the I-85 fire and bridge collapse here in the metro area.
So I guess that is a priority of the state, is getting the westbound lane open first to accommodate perhaps all of the truck traffic that needs to get out of the ports?
Yes, westbound is a priority for a number of reasons. One is the freight flow from the Savannah port into Middle Georgia and Metro Atlanta, but it's also the side that was struck. It's the lowest hanging, if you will, toward the ground, and so strategically for traffic movement, but also for criticality of safety, that's what needs to move first, westbound.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.